So today we are honoring the 343 firefighters that lost their lives on September 11, 2001 by walking and running 3.43 miles on right here on US 331 in Walton County. This is our 6th year that we've done this. We changed the route a little bit this year. We thought 331 would get a little more exposure to the community.
We do this each and every year as a way to try to bring some attention here locally to our citizens and making sure that our community knows we'll never forget what happened on that day. And more importantly, the young men and women that are coming on the job now, many of them weren't even alive then when that happened. We think it's critically important that we bridge that gap and make sure that those young folks coming into this career and this type of profession understand what the tragic events that happened 22 years ago.
Well, it's part of history. It's part of American history. It's part of firefighting history. So firefighting in general is a brotherhood to begin with. So when one of our brothers and sisters is attacked, we're all attacked, and that's how we feel.
This is a very family-oriented profession. We spend a third of our lives together, every third day, working with one another, and so because of that, I think there's a very strong connection to our brothers and sisters that work at other agencies that do the same profession. There were 343 firefighters killed on that day, and the thing that's not mentioned a lot is there's been another 341 firefighters who've died since then. So it's nearly 700 firefighters that have passed over between the day of that tragic event and the last 22 years up until now, and we never want to forget their memories, and we want to make sure that we always honor them. A lot of us have peers and colleagues that work at FDNY and other places just from professional relationships, and the job is the same no matter where you are, whether you're in an urban environment, whether you're in more of a rural area, and so that bond is one of the things that I think that we always strive to try to maintain, and we never take that for granted. The opportunity for some of our younger folks that are just coming onto the job to be able to experience this with us, and just to take a moment and pause. We had a local pastor out here that said a brief prayer for us, and it was a little warm this morning. We've had years that it's been warmer, but the weather's beautiful. Many of us remember September 11, 2001. It was a beautiful morning just like this, and to be out here on the bay and bringing so much attention. You hear people honking and waving, and we think that that's a really neat feature here in our community that they haven't forgotten as well, right? And so that's we're thrilled to do it.
Well, I think we show our community that we still remember. We understand why this day exists. And every time you thought you might just want to take a break, somebody from the community would honk the horn, and that showed us that they still remember and they appreciate what we're doing, and that just keeps you going.
I still remember to this day just kind of the events kind of happening in slow motion. I was working for the city of Lynn Haven as a firefighter, and we were doing some training drills outside, and I remember one individual coming out and mentioning that an aircraft had hit the World Trade Center. And of course, I think all of us felt like that, a small plane, something like, we never were, you don't wrap your head around something that ended up happening. And so when the second plane hit, obviously we all were shaken. All of us remember where we were and kind of being glued to the television and trying to make sense of what happened and why it happened. Being in this line of work, unfortunately, we kind of can predict to some degree, like, I think a lot of us knew that those towers were probably going to come down, and yet you still saw first responders kind of going in there doing what they've been sworn to do, right, to save as many lives as they could. And as tragic as that event was, I think we should also take solace in knowing that there were hundreds of thousands of lives saved that day as well. And certainly it's brought all of us in this line of work closer because of the tragic events that happened that day. And you hear all the stories of the survivors, right? And it's really heartwarming to hear some of the as tragic as the loss of life that happened that day, the positive stories that came out of that, and on survival and just kind of resilience and so forth.